Welcome to Impact AI. I'm your host, John Hodges. On today's episode, we go deep into hospitality, what's working, what's tough, and what's genuinely pushing the industry forward. Whether you're a hotel operator, investor, or technologist, the insights today will matter. I'm honored to have with me Jeanni Seetoo, Senior Hospitality Executive and expert in revenue strategy. At Cape Resorts, she's overseen budgets from 5 million to 44 million, led hotel openings, and driven occupancy and ADR growth across a diverse portfolio. Jeanni blends operational rigor with customer focus, and in doing so, she's developed a strong sense of what actually moves the needle in this space. Jeanni, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
To start, can you share where your journey began in hospitality, how your career evolved to where you are today?
I started in our first hotel, the Virginia, a small boutique European style hotel, 24 rooms with a 64-seat restaurant. And I actually started in the restaurant. I was in college at the time and working in the summers. We're in a seasonal resort. So, restaurants, great thing to do while you're in college, getting yourself through. And then eventually I moved over into the hotel side. So I started to work behind the front desk. And the front desk is a great place to start because you learn everything there. You're kind of touching the guests, you're touching the behind the scenes stuff, the back office things. You're learning everything, especially in such a small environment. Payroll, HR, housekeeping, valet, you touch all the departments. So I progressed in that hotel over the course of 15 years, front desk, front office manager, assistant manager, general manager. So I ran the hotel as a general manager for about 3 years. And then we opened up our second hotel, Congress Hall, which now is our flagship hotel. It's the larger hotel. It's where all the action is, really. And when we opened that hotel, we quickly opened up our third hotel, the Star Inn, which is a smaller hotel. And we decided that we wanted to start consolidating things, meaning we wanted to consolidate the call center so that we weren't standing behind the front desk taking calls while guests were standing at the desk. So I was tasked with opening up the call center and connecting three hotels. So it was an interesting time learning all the technology and trying to figure out how to connect these hotels, connect the phone system, connect the property management system, and create this call center to be able to handle all of that. And that was back in the early 2000s when revenue management was kind of new to hotels. It had only been around for a few years. And I was just really good with building rates and kind of fluctuating them and building hotel packages and things like that. So it was kind of a natural for me to oversee the call center and to oversee revenue management, which was a new discipline for us at that time.
Right, right.
So then
Interesting.
we just quickly started to grow. There was a growth period there from 2002 to about 2015. We picked up several more hotels in the same market, and then we branched off and bought a hotel in the Hamptons in Sag Harbor.
Mm.
So, uh, I opened up all of those hotels, set up all the technology, added people in the call center, created the revenue management department for the company.
Excellent. Well, so what early experience or role kind of shaped your philosophy about what hospitality should be?
Hospitality is about the guests and making sure that the guests are happy because if there are no guests, I don't have a job,
Right.
right? So it's just making sure that you're doing what's necessary and making them happy and creating a comfortable place for them to go, a safe and comfortable place for people to enjoy themselves. We live in a resort town, so everything is very centrally located, but being able to communicate with them and make sure we understand the guests and understand what it is that they're looking for. And then, as we started to move into the revenue management space, understanding how we could leverage the pricing, the seasonality, the length of stay, all those things to actually pay attention to those details so that we could make the hotels more profitable.
Right. Over the years, which challenge that you overcame kind of taught you the most?
Well, probably in the beginning, growing these hotels, growing the portfolio as quickly as we did, and trying to manage all the technology that came along with that, because technology is constantly changing.
Right.
So, learning all of that stuff and trying to figure out the most efficient way to move forward with connecting all of these hotels, and also creating an identity for each hotel, because you don't want to compete against each other, because they were all in the same market except for this one hotel. So we had to create a unique identity for each hotel so that we were appealing to different guests for each one. That was challenging. Every time we opened up a new hotel, it's like, how do we leverage the guest database and get them excited about the new hotels, but also not lose them in the existing hotels that they're in. So we didn't want to take away from the existing hotels and pull them over to the new ones, but we also wanted to introduce them to all the new hotels that we had, but keep them in the portfolio. So we would have guests that we joked that they were sleeping around.
Ah,
So they would sleep, in one hotel and then they would try another one. But it was also generational. We would have a couple that would start at the Virginia because it's a small boutique hotel. They would start to have a family. So then they would move over to the Congress Hall, which was a larger hotel with a pool and beach service and all these, a nightclub. And then they would become more grandfathers or grandparents, parents, children, then they would move into the Star Inn, which is more of efficiencies, and they could have a small little kitchenette. And then they would go over to the Sandpiper, which is an apartment with a full kitchen, washer, dryer, a balcony. So we've done a nice job of being able to appeal to the multi-generational families and being
no.
able to move them around as their families evolve.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, how has your dual focus on revenue operations and guest experience influenced your, decision making style?
It's definitely helped me to be more of a global thinker because I understand what's happening on the operations side of things because I did it for so many years. So the decisions that we make in revenue management affect everybody in the department. I'm sorry, in the whole hotel group.
Yeah.
So the pricing that we do, the way that we build packages and the components that are built within the packages, the discounts that we offer, the policies that we attach to a rate, whether, deposit policy, cancellations policies, it affects everybody. So it flows over to the front desk. So they have to understand the strategies. And then it flows back to accounting. So we have to think about how cash flow goes to accounting and how chargebacks might happen with credit cards. Or so running the call center and having been on the front lines, it's a complete journey from what the decisions that we make in revenue management and how it affects everybody else in the entire company. So I'm very aware of how the money flows through the company and how the policies flow through and out to our guests, because at the end of the day we want our guests to be happy. And so if we create something that's really complicated or unfriendly because we haven't thought about that guest journey, it's not helpful and it's not profitable for the guests, and it's not doesn't make for a guest experience. So I do think about how what we put in place affects the guest experience, because we also manage the online experience for the guests. So we
Okay.
work very closely with marketing as well, with the website and the booking engine where you make the reservations. So we have to think about how that looks as well.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So we'll go into some more topic focused questions. So, as far as wins, looking across your career, which wins had the biggest impact?
Hmm. Uh, that's a challenging question. We've had a lot of wins.
Yeah,
Some of
I'm
the
sure.
hotels have been really amazing. We, Cape May was a very seasonal town. Memorial Day to Labor Day, a traditional seasonal town where people come from one holiday to the next. In the summer, it's a beach town. And we have done a really, really good job of promoting and creating different activities and different reasons to come to town through the end of the year. And we created an entire um, vibe for the month of December.
Cool.
And so now December is, I mean, our rates in December on some weekends in December are almost as high as some of our weekends in the summer. So we've done a really, that's a huge, was a huge win for not just us, but the entire town. So now the
Right.
entire town is really busy from Thanksgiving through New Year's. And it's just beautiful. And, with the lights and all the different activities that are going on. So that was a win, that we did company wide.
Yeah, well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So okay, moving on to perhaps challenges. So what recurring challenges do you see uh, in hospitality today? Whether, it could be anything, staffing, cost,
Yeah.
competition, guest expectations. What do you see recurring challenges?
I would say staffing is a big challenge for us because we're in a seasonal resort. Um, so you have, even though we've extended the season, there's still a quiet period. The first quarter, January, February, March, are still pretty quiet. Weekends are busy, so you have the influx of the busyness, and then it slows down, and there's periods where it's quiet midweek in November. So trying to keep the staff engaged during that period, trying not to lay people off in the off season, or creating positions that are seasonal positions, and or create hoping that they'll come back year after year so you're not training new people all the
Right.
time, because then there's a gap in service if you have to keep training new people. So that has definitely been a challenge for us, even though we've extended our season. It's still a challenge. And what's become even more of a challenge is that Cape May has become so popular that people can't afford to live here anymore because it's a
Oh
lot of
no.
second homes. And so the working people can't afford to live in the town.
Hmm.
So that's challenging also.
Wow. Okay. Well, what's as far as delivering value in your operations now, what strategies, tools, or innovations do you see making a measurable difference?
When you say tools, you mean technology?
Well, no, I mean it could be, yeah, or just strategies in general. Have y'all innovated anything different? Um, it could be technology, but not specifically. Um, you're
We we are focusing on the guest experience and creating an experience for the guest that's unforgettable. So if it's I don't necessarily want to call it a package, but if an experience that includes, dinner or kayaking, going out on a fishing boat, or children's activities included with it. It's just like kind of bundling things together so that people have a reason to come. We have a farm, and we have all kinds of activities that we have developed to get people excited about the experience of being out on a farm. It's not
yeah,
that far from the beach, but it's kind of out at a farm, 2 miles away. But you can go egg picking or whatever you call
right,
it. And then, we have birding. Birding, Cape May is really big for birding. So we have a professional birder who comes out and takes people out to go look at the birds and find special migrating birds in our area. So there's lots of different things, foraging. There's a lot of different activities and experiences that we are trying to get people excited about so they can experience Cape May the way that we experience it.
right. That's definitely innovative. That's cool. And I haven't really, you don't hear that much actually. So that's
So
that's
they can
very
go to the
innovative.
beach and then they can go forage.
Yeah, or go on a hayride or
Go on a
something
hay,
like that.
exactly. Go biking around town. There's beautiful trails, so taking them out on the trails. So there's a lot of really cool things that you don't think about this town to be known for. It's a beach town, so people, oh, let's go to the beach, but there's so many other beautiful things here to experience.
Right. Well, that's cool. It's very creative. Okay, so as far as AI and data in hospitality, how do you see AI or predictive analytics enhancing hotel revenue or guest personalization or efficiency in overall?
We are working on that. That is fairly new for us. We have a revenue management system that does a lot of predictive recommendations for us now, and it's definitely made this department more efficient in guiding us. We still look at all the recommendations and decide whether we want to take the recommendations or not. So there's that, and it's also, trying to automate things a little bit more with
Right.
AI and make us more efficient so that we can actually be more strategic, so that we're not sitting there pushing buttons and levers all day long. That it's going to actually automate the different reports and things that we have to look at every day. So we're working on all that stuff now.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting process of learning that stuff and trying to figure out how we're going to leverage it to make us more efficient and being able to be more strategic rather than being down in the trenches all day long.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting. And often departments, sales, marketing, operations are siloed sometimes. How do you get alignment so that the tech and the revenue and guest services are all moving in the same direction?
We communicate a lot with each other, because we're fairly small company with, we have it's a pretty small company, so we're able to still communicate with one another. Revenue management and marketing are very, very much aligned because we meet regularly to discuss where the needs are, where the wins are, what do we need to do next, what does the calendar look like, what's coming up. And, I attend front office meetings so I can know what's going on the ground. And, then it gives them an opportunity too to ask me or clarify with me what strategies might be in place that are affecting them. Because I want them to be armed with the information so that if they have a particularly difficult guest, they understand the strategies and they understand why they're in place and what the purpose of them are so that they're better equipped to respond to guests. So we do work closely together with the other departments to try to make sure that we're aligned.
Okay, excellent. So, looking more into the future, as we look ahead, what trends or changes in guest behavior or sustainability or digital infrastructure, um, business models in general, do you believe will define hospitality, the success of hospitality in the near coming future?
I mean, I think there's ways that you can make things more efficient for the guests, but you also don't want to lose that personal touch. I mean, hospitality is all about interactions with people and making sure that you don't lose those interactions with people. We struggle with sometimes I want to put technology in place because it's more efficient.
Hmm.
But then there's pushback from the operators. They're like, but we need to make sure that we're still touching our guests, right? And not putting in some iPad that you walk in and you check in and then there's no interaction with the guests. So it's kind of trying to balance those different technologies that are out there and being able to keep that personal touch that sets us apart and keeps people coming back because we have a lot of guests that come back year after year and they want to see the same people. They want to have the similar interactions. They're creating memories and creating their legacy of generational travelers, right?
Right,
So it's an interesting balance of trying to introduce technology that's helpful while also keeping that personal touch with the guests, which is the most important part of hospitality.
right, right. And that's an ongoing challenge,
Hmm. Yes.
every year something new comes up and you have to shift and adjust and but it sounds like y'all are doing a great job. Well, excellent. So that's all our questions that we have today. uh,
Okay.
Jeannie, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your wins and the lessons. For me anyway, I think it's a clear takeaway that in hospitality, what truly moves the needle is really just thoughtful alignment, between guest experience and data and operational discipline, obviously.
Yes. I would
Any
agree.
last nuggets of wisdom?
I don't think so. I mean, don't take the personality out of the hospitality, really. You just have to keep, they're coming up with these hotels which, you have no interaction with people. And I guess
Yeah.
that's okay for some, But
Right.
in a place like this with the history and the historic buildings that we have, people just love that personal touch. So we'll keep doing that.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, good. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Jeannie. And for our listeners, we thank you for joining us. And be sure to look up Cape Resorts in your next future travels. Thank you for tuning in to Impact AI with John Hodges. And until next time, everyone keep making an impact. Thank you.